Actually, as editor, Brad, once upon a time, whenever I had to be ruthless, I always assigned that manuscript to Keith Dobson, because he performed flawlessly in that regard. This is a tremendous honor. I'm extremely grateful, very honored, flattered. I thank the Academy for selecting me. And it's a particular honor, of course, to win an award in the name of Aaron T. Beck. A giant in the field, someone, hardly need to say this here, who's made so many fundamental contributions to the theory, clinical practice, research in psychological treatments for a wide range of disorders, and a person who directly either trained, influenced, or inspired many of the current leaders in the entire field of CBT. I mean, it's an extraordinary, far-reaching contribution, so it's a particular pleasure. When Keith Dobson phoned me to give me the out-of-the-blue, totally unexpected good news, and I confess that I think we'd been missing each other on the phone, and I was probably somewhat avoidant, thinking that he was going to ask me to do something that was very busy, so I'm lucky to be here, for sure. But when he phoned me and I thought about it, I remember something which popped into my mind. I hadn't thought about it for a couple of decades. And it's a personal memory connected with Tim, which I'd like to mention. It was very important to me at the time, and looking back, I have particularly fond memories. It was 1984. I think I'd only met Tim briefly once, probably courtesy of John Rush, whom I'd got to know. But that year, he invited me to participate on a panel with him at the Society for Psychotherapy Research, which was meeting in Lake Louise, Canada. So by 1984, the Depression book had been out 5 years. The field had been enriched, expanded, as Michael Gilder, if you heard his talk at the other award ceremony, he largely set the stage for what we now know as manual-based trials, protocols, therapist-friendly, an extraordinary impact, and so it was a great honor to be invited by him. And the other part of it was that there were going to be 4 of us. John Rush was going to be the moderator of the plenary session. The other 2 were Charles Marmer and Marty Horowitz, 2 very prominent, influential psychiatrists. But one of the things that was appealing to me, not only was I invited as clearly the most junior person, the only non-psychiatrist, but that I was going to team up with Tim Beck to take on the opposition. This was in my early fervor CBT days. It was them versus us. I think I actually managed myself with a bit more maturity than I've just displayed. I didn't embarrass him. I have no recollection of what finally happened in that meeting, although I think it ended amicably. So it's a very fond memory, and using that more or less as a touchstone to think about what's different now from 1984. It's extraordinary. Maybe later on in a few comments I'll talk about how we need to do more in terms of dissemination and implementation. But this reminded me too that if anyone had told me in 1984 that we'd be at the position we are now, with the nice guidelines, clearly the best, most rigorous of their kind in the world, CBT is the treatment of choice for so many different disorders, helps so many people. Anyone thinking about that in 84 would have been dismissed. It couldn't happen that quickly. It did. It's a wonderful memory. In addition, and Keith has done this for me, I too, I'd done my homework, so I put my hand up. I knew what the people, names you read off had in common. And indeed, it's an extraordinarily elite group of people, all of whom, without exception, whose work and contributions I've admired for a long time. And in particular, let me just mention 2 or 3 with whom I'm actively collaborating. So that's even better. For years, I was an admirer of Steve Holland and Rob DeRubius. They're wonderful methodologically sound studies of depression on which I and others actually piggyback other randomized controlled trials. And I finally got wise. Instead of just reading about all this stuff, find a way to collaborate with him so I could take more rapid advantage of all his expertise. So, mission accomplished. The other person, of course, is Chris Fairburn, who won it last year. Collaborating with Chris over the last 25 years has been the high point of my professional career. We're very active collaborating in current research. And I also mention David Clark from Oxford, who's also part of the group that Chris has assembled. So I think I've plundered the ranks of prior winners pretty well. So again, this is an enormous honor, personally tremendously gratifying. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to